And so here we are taking a moment out of time, a moment out of space, to actually stop for a second. And instead of believing another identity, I am emptiness, or I am this, or I am that, whatever it is you've ever heard before this moment, the invitation here is to stop and actually reflect on what is here before a single thought arises. Welcome, everyone. Linux was a bit of an old stomping ground for me. Actually, I associate it with Gangaji and Eli, my teachers. Every year I would come here to host them for their events like this. And to me, it was blissful. It was actually a way I could be in service to truth and in service to love in a concrete way. And I felt extremely lucky to be in the right time and place. After my first retreat with them, I sent them a letter. I mean, during the retreat, I entered as a suffering somebody. And at some point during the retreat, I realized it was all a lie. It wasn't that I left as a non-suffering somebody. I left knowing the truth that I am a nobody, not a nobody, not even nobody, but nothing at all. Something unspeakable, let's say. And in that, I felt so overwhelmed with bliss and gratitude that I sent them a letter and I said, "You are like my spiritual mother and father." And I said, I would love to be in service in some way. I would be happy to clean the toilets or run your whole company, whatever's useful. And I did both in a certain way. And it felt so good to just say yes. There was no doubt. And it was so clear that it wasn't them. I wasn't idolizing the guru. It wasn't them that were on some pedestal. It was the truth. It was myself, actually. It was my direct experience of presence that I was idolizing in a certain way, that I was in service to. Because I saw that these retreats, I was not special, actually. I was just exactly like you, that I would come with my bag of issues, challenges, and my life story. And I would leave empty-handed. And in that, I was actually able to discover what's here when my hands were empty. What is here right now when actually I put everything down, when everything falls away, when the whole story of what even brought me here falls away. The story of my successes along with the stories of my victimhood. And it's possible for you in this moment to just have a moment. Just an instant is all that's required. An instant of recognition. Someone said to me, because I was doing some meetings here locally, and someone said, "Oh, it's like a reunion." And I thought, yes, but I'm not sure in the same way that you mean. I mean, yes, we are reunited in a certain way. But to me, this meeting is a reunion of self with self. It's a reunion. Union meaning united. And it's not even at the deepest level. The truth is we have never been separate to ourselves. But the way that humanity is in this state in this current stage of our evolution is we are psychologically split. We live through a false identity. We live through our minds, through an imagined me that is separate to our true self. Not in the truth, not in the depth, never separate. Impossible to be separate, but we believe we're separate. And in the belief that we are separate, we suffer and we act as if. The mind is like a closed loop system. It tells a story and then it believes the story. And then it finds confirmation for the story. The world is in a waking trance. Humanity is in a certain stage of evolution where we first started to talk to ourselves in our heads, and that gave us an enormous survival advantage. Conceptual thinking helped us to become the dominant species on the planet, at least for some time. To say, this is me, means I will fight for this. I will do anything to make this thing survive. My body, my mind. And then with this conceptualization, which to most people, I would assume that's just normal. This is me. It's just simply believed. And of course, then it spreads out. Then my family is a part of me. And then my tribe is a part of me. And then my nation is a part of me. And my football team is a part of me. And in that, we then become identified with something limited, with some object. And in the identification with an object, we feel cramped. We feel small. We feel not good enough. We feel afraid because this object is obviously not going to last, whatever it is. And so here we are taking a moment out of time, a moment out of space, to actually stop for a second. And instead of believing another identity, I am emptiness, or I am this, or I am that, whatever it is you've ever heard before this moment, the invitation here is to stop and actually reflect on what is here before a single thought arises. What is here before thinking? That's also here during thinking and also here after thinking. And to recognize that and to see that I am here before I start thinking. Therefore, I am here before this story of myself, before my name, before my story of my history. I am here. And so to reflect on what is here and to realize what is here, that's what awakening is. To recognize yourself beyond your own mind. And for that, there's a moment of not knowing. You have to actually be willing to not know for 1 millisecond. That willingness to not know and the willingness to discover. Most people are not willing to discover, because to be willing to discover, you have to not know. And to not know is like death to the story of who you think you are. And that's what makes this rare.